Alrighty, we are live and welcome to our fourth edition of Behind the Wheel here at Gen Physio. Your host here, Jordan, the founder and CEO. I have here the wonderful OT from the Sunshine Coast, Brianna. Brianna's been brave enough to come on the show today and take us through all the interesting things, both professionally and personally, about herself and what makes her a great OT in the community. So welcome to the podcast, Bree.
Thank you for having me. Exciting.
And I love that I can even hear some top 20 music going on in the background there. You're in our Sunshine Coast virtual office location at Sippy Downs.
Yeah, I can't control the music. Sorry, Jordan. It's just there.
No, that's all good. For all the team members at Gen Physio listening in, I've only been to the Sippy Downs, our Sippy Downs office, the Gen Physio office up on the Sunshine Coast once, and that was at the very start when we signed the lease, and it's pretty awesome spot. It's almost like when I got taken out the back, it was like a tool shed almost. It was a very cool setup. As you can see in the background here, it is very funky. I didn't know if I was at Bunnings or an office at half the time. For the Sunshine Coast team members who have been there, they will enjoy that. I know you did that. But I got offered pizzas. I came in on a Friday afternoon. Everyone's having drinks. It was a very unique space. So it's pretty cool that we can get you chiming in live from our Sunny Coast office.
Yeah, it's really good. Like, they do have the pizzas all the time. So it's fun to come here.
So tell me, when did they bring the pizzas out? Because you could be getting your reports done, you could be preparing to head out to a client. You grab one on the way, or is it Friday afternoons, or how do you tactically get it?
I think it is like an afternoon thing on a Friday
Okay,
afternoon. So
okay,
certainly you could try and time it. If they do maybe like a 3:30, you could sneak a slice before you go to your last client.
yes.
But it's strategic for sure. It's not here right now.
No, well, hopefully the pizzas don't come out and we get distracted. Yeah,
See you later.
that's it. Hold the pizzas, but it is a pretty cool setup you got there. So, Bree, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you study? Where are you hailing from? And sort of what interests brought you to the world of OT?
Well, I studied here on the Sunshine Coast at Uni Sunshine Coast. I moved up here about 10 years ago now when I was a teenager because I grew up in Sydney. And we
Big
didn't think,
change.
yeah, big change. We didn't think we were going to be able to all buy houses and live successful lives down there at that point. So we moved up here thinking it would be cheaper at the time. Not
Might have been.
anymore. Moved up here, and I already sort of knew that I wanted to do OT when we came up here
Great.
because my little brother had OT when he was a kid. He had all sorts of sensory issues.
Mm.
I didn't understand at the time. I just thought he was a little bit of a brat, because he was a bit naughty. But he had OT, and my mum learned a lot about OT in that space and sort of pushed and
Mhm.
encouraged me to explore that sort of field because I knew I wanted to do health. I knew I wanted to help people. I wasn't sure what, and
Yep.
that's really what led me down the path of OT. And I came up here and I started the degree, and I enjoyed it. Actually, when I was in 10th grade, we had our work experience.
Oh
And I
yeah.
actually almost did OT, but when I was 16, I wasn't very good at calling people and showing initiative, and I chickened out of making the phone call, so I
Oh,
didn't get to do it in year 10, but
ah,
that's how far
that's
back.
look. That's something that Queensland I know does well. I was very lucky. My mum, I was in the same boat, so my mum did the calling for me, and she got me into three physio clinics. So I was very lucky to get exposure, and that's all I wanted to do from year 10. But enough about me. It's good to hear that you had those interests early on. And what was your age gap between you and your brother when you saw your brother getting therapy and seeing his occupational therapist?
He was, I think, 7 or 8 at the time, and so I'm
Okay.
4 years older, so I was
Yep.
11 or 12. So I
Yep.
sort of had it in the back of my mind through high school, and then when it got to year 10 and people start saying, "What are you going to do?" It was, well, maybe we'll look at OT.
Okay, great. And you mentioned in a bio a few weeks back now, I know you put together for us, and I was just reviewing that before the pod, and you mentioned that the main sort of treatment he was receiving was under emotional regulation, and you noticed the benefits quite significantly, or you noticed that or observed that in the family. Can you take us through that a little bit more in detail around what you observed and the benefit your brother got?
Yeah, wild child. He was always running around. He didn't listen. He didn't stop. You couldn't take him anywhere really. The school had raised some concerns as well. He was a bit of a mean boy. He used to bite and pinch and scratch. And
Mm.
after going to therapy, he was in a clinic, and I know that he would come home and Mum would talk about all the fun stuff that he was doing, sensory jungles and sensory toys and um, squeeze the toy when you're angry and things, little strategies like that.
Yeah.
And we could see that he brought some of that home, and it was actually something that we could redirect him to when he was being a little feisty. We could just see how it worked. He stopped scratching and biting when we could just give him his sensory toy and or a hula hoop and put him in front of the TV with his favourite show, and he could just regulate himself over time. And that was a miracle to
Mm.
me because my whole childhood was him just pinching in the car.
Ah, yeah, it's nothing worse than biting. I know my twins do it from time to time, and yeah, it's not a fun thing that they do, kids. But getting pinched in the car is also not fun from your younger brother. But that's great to hear. So you got exposure to a clinician, an allied health professional, an OT to take him through that. Did your brother have any particular diagnosis that you could land on? You hadn't mentioned, if you mind sharing, or it was just more that his behaviors needed a little bit of support and to get frustrated and or get feisty, as you mentioned.
Well, the school was the one that raised it and thought he might have ASD, but when he went and did the test, he didn't. He basically just had dyslexia. But I think he
Mm,
probably, I don't know if he got diagnosed or if it was something he got diagnosed with that, over a decade ago, but I think he probably just had a bit of sensory processing disorder as well.
okay.
But that was it. So his actual diagnoses weren't particularly large or significant. He just needed a lot of support in that moment to
Yeah.
transition him into a bit of a better spot.
Okay. And you found that was quite helpful.
Yeah, yeah, especially
Fantastic.
now. He's a
Oh,
grown
wow.
adult now, but
Yes.
I can see how he's used that information to figure out what he needs to do when he is feeling tense or
Mm.
tired or like he's not meeting his own needs.
Great. So you're still using the tools and strategies to help him regulate even everyday
Yeah,
life as an adult.
he doesn't hula hoop anymore, but he will. He does have the sensory tools and music and things like that. He's found other ways that are now age appropriate to keep regulating himself.
Fantastic. Great. So he's able to use that throughout his life, and that's really good to see as a clinician and an OT yourself to able to then apply similar, I guess, strategies to your own clients and help them go through the same journey because you've seen such a great result within your own family. So that's great. So I guess my next question is standout moment in your journey as an OT so far. Has anything sort of popped out that you've had a real standout moment, a win with your client, or an aha moment as an OT?
I don't know. I was thinking about this sort of stuff, and I think it's a lot of little things that maybe don't feel big in the moment, like the first time that you get like an electric bed and mattress right for a client. I know when
Yeah.
I was just starting out, the first time that I had someone in an electric wheelchair and I could see them driving and actually able to go faster than 3k an hour or hobbling with a walking stick, actually having the ability to walk back
Yeah.
was really big for me, and I guess opened my eyes to just how much change that I can put into other people's lives, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a long process of therapy and hard work. Sometimes
Sure.
it can be just a little change. So that
Okay.
was really, really cool.
Fantastic. And I can sympathize with that as well, that, you're getting small wins frequent basis. So every little win you get, it is a standout moment, but for the client, it's far bigger than what it perceived to you. Whether it's getting them the right bed and or giving them the independence and mobility. I mean, that's huge. For us, they've got to do a lot of work, a lot of sit to stands, a lot of squats to get there. But for you guys, if you get the right tools and technology to support them, they can almost jump ahead by 50 paces and get to the
Yeah.
end goal quicker. And so we as a physio can help them in different ways. So you could get some really big wins straight off the bat with the right assistive technology. And I noticed in the bio that you sent through earlier, you had a photo of you action shot with your thumb up, and I saw what it looks like to be a power wheelchair in the background with some sort of Roho cushions, pressure cushions, all stacked up together. And
Yes.
can you remember that photo? And can you take me through what you were doing in that scene and what that consult was like? Yeah.
That was an electric wheelchair and a bunch of different pressure cushions for a client, a complex client, who was a handover from one of the other OTs up here on the sunny coast. And she has a complex form of dementia that's caused all sorts of issues, with her brain decaying, but also with the rest of her bodily functions declining a
Mhm.
lot. And she had a lot of issues with a chair that had been prescribed previously by an OT not in our company. I don't know the OT. Just with things not really fitting properly, and the cushion she was on, the family didn't think was very comfortable. So that day we had brought a different chair that was very similar but that we could modify and see if we could find
Mm.
something that fitted the client better, which we were able to find, which is really awesome. And then a
Oh,
bunch of
good.
different
Good win.
cushions. Yeah, because we wanted to see if there was an option that would be just as safe from a pressure perspective, but also maybe a little bit more comfortable for the client. Her ability to like communicate that, like I'm comfortable or I'm uncomfortable, sometimes can be really difficult. So we
Mm.
brought heaps of cushions, and hopefully she was able
I
to communicate something.
I can see her in the photo, and hopefully I can share this with the podcast. But yeah, great. I mean, you got the multiple options there, the better, right? You don't want to make sure that you can walk away knowing that you've tried the right product at the time and get the right client fit. Just on the pressure care aspects, I mean, I love this space, but it was coming up to 10 years ago when I was right in the thick of it as an early career physio, and Roho cushions were sort of the talk of the town, and really the grades A standard, which is
Mm.
the cells, and basically pumping them up and making sure that you had the right. There was a lot of science behind it. Well, not really, but you needed to have. They were sort of the gold standards. What would you
Mm.
say would be a gold standard pressure care cushion for somebody who's spending significant amount of time sitting? Where's the market at right now? Just one clinician to another, because I'm
Mm.
interested.
Well, I don't think the Rohos are as popular anymore. Not because they aren't efficient, but like you said, you pump up air cells. So every
Mm.
time, every month or however frequently
Yeah.
you have to adjust it, you've got to get the glove on, you've got to get them in the chair, you've got to shove your hand under and
Yes, you
pump up
do.
and down. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work. It's a lot of work on the
Yes.
carers, on the family.
Yes.
The more higher level pressure care and positioning cushions that I've been exposed to more recently have been more of a molded foam or like a foam cell style that has
Mm.
even like a gel insert. That was one of the cushions that we ended up trialing with that client. It doesn't require anywhere near as much maintenance. You just have to occasionally massage the gel to make sure that it doesn't harden over time, and that's
Okay.
very infrequently. Um,
Yeah.
and it can be molded in quite well to give the support. If their legs are going to knock together, having something in between to keep them steady. If they go
Mm.
out, vice versa. If they slide forward, do they need a pommel to keep them in the chair? It
Yeah.
just gives a little bit more ability to position as well as do the pressure care. But that's as far as I know. That's what I've been exposed to recently, at least.
Yeah, so with the more of the gel product rather than air, it sounds like there's less maintenance involved, but also offers optimal pressure care for the client. You mentioned that it's got grooves or sort of molding where you can work on positioning a little bit better than just consistent flat on the top.
Yes. And some people, we're not all just one big drop of pressure on the bum if we're sitting down, for example.
Mm.
There's certain parts inside of that area where the bones are and where the muscle's a
Yes.
bit thinner or there's less fats, and that is the area that we want to make sure is supported. So that's why we have the cushions with the molding so that the weight can be distributed over the thicker and stronger parts as well as those thin parts as well. So
This is a
the
random.
gel's really good.
This is a random story I'm going to share. I don't think I've told anyone in the business this, but back when I first started Gen Physio in 2015, actually just as we started, I had a ruptured appendix. I was in hospital for 2 weeks. I lost 20 kilos in 2 weeks, and I looked like death warmed up, and it was pretty bad. Basically, I had appendicitis, pushed through, and went to the doctors thinking this is unusual. They gave me really strong painkillers, which helped me push through more until I ended up in hospital. So if you got a pain in that bottom sort of left quadrant, bottom right quadrant, and it's consistent, please go to emergency because it's likely appendicitis and you have to get it removed. But where I was going with this is I remember being in the hospital and I wasn't able to really walk or do anything for about 3 or 4 days after surgery, but I took a walk and I went and sat down on a bench, and the glutes. The gluteal muscle was basically non-existent, and it
Yeah.
hurt. I was pretty much bone on
Wow.
bone, which is unusual for me because I've never been that thin in my life. And I was just thinking, holy, this is what it's like for some people. And imagine sitting down for long hours too, and you don't have, especially if you're not mobile and ambulant, and have got some muscle tissue around your glutes, like it's a pretty rough time. It's like straight on bone, and you want to have really good pressure support. I probably needed a Roho, or what was the name of the or the brand that's doing the new that you're
I've got
finding is
Autobox
there's
cushions, J
yeah,
cushions,
Otterbox.
all
Yep.
sorts.
Okay. J
Yeah.
Cushion. Oh, they're still going around. Yep. They were
Yeah.
looks like they're gone superior now. Roho was way higher at one point.
I think if you've got the staff who are trained to know how to do the Roho cushion, it's still a very good quality of care. Air is
Okay.
still very good. You see it in the beds. You know, that top
Yeah.
level of pressure care is still those alternating air mattresses, but they have the motor, and that's what makes it really accessible because you don't have to really do anything to maintain it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. No, great. Well, we've just kind of gone on a little side tangent there about pressure care, but uh, I was eager to see what's going on in the world at 2025 in that space,
Ever
and I'm
evolving.
sure it is ever evolving. And what I do like about our beloved equipment suppliers, when they can actually get to the appointment on time and do work around the busy schedule and bring the right products to the appointment, they're just great. And there's so many, and they're quite knowledgeable. I actually lent on them more. I just brought the physio aspect, but I lent on them to actually take the client through, the different types of equipment and what they do, what they don't, and I just fed in on the side, and I know they were very helpful. So I hope that's still the same, and you've got a couple of good suppliers that you use to, I guess, support you with your clients.
Yeah, you definitely have a few favourites. It's inevitable.
And that's it. And look, we at Gen Physio encourage our clinicians to find and use their own suppliers. Really, we're the consultants, so all we want to do is charge for our professional time. But essentially, you guys have the option to choose whoever you like.
Mm.
So it's good to hear that you've got your favorites. And yeah, that's important, and I'm sure they'll hopefully give you a nice little Christmas present.
Yeah, every year.
Because they should. So, all right, you've taken us through the journey of what brought you into the world of OT. You've come through. You've taken us through some pressure care moments. You've taken us through all the different types that we have on the market now, and it's ever evolving, which is great. I guess the fundamental question I want to probably bring us back to is community OT. Here at Gen Physio, obviously, that's all we do. We love community. We're 100% mobile.
Mm.
We have no clinics. We don't want to have clinics because we know that doing community and doing it well is hard enough as it is. Tell me, what do you like about community and being mobile rather than in four walls?
I really like how flexible and fast paced and changing it is. I know when I have days where I'm in the office all day writing or doing some sort of research, it can just make me a little batty over time. I get bored, my seat gets tiring and sore, and I want to stand up and go for a walk, and the day drags. So when I'm out in the community, I'm always, in the car, someone's
Yeah,
house, back in
yeah.
the car, someone else's house. The day feels really quick because everything's just bite-sized chunks, and I really like
So,
that because it just flies by.
so you like the change of scenery, getting out in the open, and being in different environments throughout the day rather than stuck in sort of one place.
I feel like I get an opportunity to really just smash something really hard and really focus, and then that little drive just resets me rather than just constantly draining myself in one spot. That's just how I
Yeah.
operate. It works really well.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I love the drive between clients. That's when you get it depends on what moods you want, the peaceful pop sort of relaxing music. You want to hit the more heavy stuff. You want to hit the bit of I don't know what you like, house, techno, bit of R&B. What's your go-to in between clients? What's your
Uh,
music of choice?
I do like a little bit of R&B. I like pretty much anything that's not super experimental or screamo. So my
Okay,
playlist
so no
has
screamo.
everything. There is some screamo, but it's usually not my screamo. It's someone else's playing in the background. But I like all sorts of sort of a bit more classic or some jazzy soul stuff.
Oh,
At the
nice.
moment, I'm trying to
Yeah.
go through the Rolling Stones top 500 albums, their list.
Wow.
It's about 5 years old now, but I've started it. I'm about 15 albums in, and I've been reading them all, and there's some interesting albums in there, but it's been really fascinating.
Okay, great. So you got that little bit of downtime, your own sort of self-regulation before each client.
Needed,
Love it.
sometimes really needed.
So I guess being out on the road, different environments, best part about the gig and what we do as community clinicians. But what have you found that has been your most challenging moment or something unexpected?
Challenging. I mean, I think particularly recently, like the most challenging thing is that just it feels can sometimes feel like you're being pulled in a lot of directions. Like you are having a lot of all different things going on in the day, and that's really refreshing and fast paced. But sometimes you can feel like you haven't had enough time in one activity.
Mm,
So, trying to make sure that the client's needs are met, that the business's needs are met, that your own self care is met. Like sometimes it can feel like they're contradictory, or it's really difficult to get them all in. So if I have a day where I know I need to go out and see a client and they're a little bit further away than I normally would drive, I need to make sure that I'm really conscious of, having enough food at lunch, getting enough sleep the night
yeah,
before, making sure that my diary is set up optimally to avoid unnecessary travel. That can
yeah,
be challenging at times,
of
trying to do all
course.
those things.
Of course. So, and you're kind of alluding to that sort of time management piece. Now, that is our biggest challenge as community clinicians, that
Mm.
we're not in that one clinic where we just need to park the car, go in, and we've got the room, and that's basically it. There is that complexity that comes with the great part of being out in the open, but making sure that you're on top of that, planning a component of what your day is, getting the right equipment or food prep. I know even if you have hydrotherapy and if the physios and EPs listening, if you God forbid you forget your swimmers for the day. Yeah, I always had to check my diary, making sure exactly I stock the car with what I need before I head out. And look, that's part of it as well. Okay, I like that. Fair and honest. There are those challenging moments that can come in. Is there anything that has worked for you to master that? Is anything that, or is there a bit of a routine? You mentioned, making good night's sleep the night before. What other things would you put in place to help you with that fast-paced environment and making sure that your day's planned?
Just making sure my travel's accurate. Some like using my diary and my calendar and making sure that I have time in there for the bathroom breaks and things. It just takes
Uh,
the stress away. But other than that, it's just good music in the car and just trying not to stress about it. If I feel like I'm a couple minutes late, usually I end up not
yeah.
being late. So
Yeah, it's one thing we hold ourselves quite highly here at Gen Physio. Our clinicians don't like being late. And you laugh, but I remember when I was going to see a client and my appointment was 1 o'clock. I arrived at 12:58. I was on task for my fourth or fifth client for the day. It was all happening. Being a physio back then, with half an hour consults, mainly aged care. This client was a home care package client. The podiatrist of one of our another provider rocked up, and I'm thinking, hang on, what's going on here? Oh, no, no, we tell the client we'll be there between 12 and 2 p.m. And I
mm,
said, yeah, but I have my appointment at 1 and it was confirmed and I'm here 2 minutes earlier. Yeah, yeah, I'll just be quick, 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah, can you just let me? And I was shocked. And yeah, for them, 2 hour back and forth or around about was what they told their clients. So, I mean, I know we take a lot of pride here at customer service, and that's been pretty important, or very important to us. So, but that can't help that little anxiety if you're running 10 minutes late, even though we're very clearly say, beware that we can be up to 30 minutes early or 30 minutes late. In my rule of thumb, certainly when I was out on the road, is that 15 minutes was where I didn't want to kind of go outside of that.
mm,
But then you almost have to pull over, get the client number. You're almost, calling them even longer. So it's sort of,
yeah. I know, especially with all the driving. I know that there are some cultures where there is that little bit of extra wiggle room around time, but I know majority of the clients we have definitely appreciate having a really clear time.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's actually a difference for us that you wouldn't think is a difference, but really is from how we operate as a community. a business. So that's good. No, we want to be on time, keep our clients happy. Happy clients, happy life. And if they trust you, they have that relationship with you, you're going to you're going to do some great things together if you have that alliance. So, question for In Your Boot. So, if we were to look at your boot right now, what would be your favorite go-to item or tool as an OT, or something quirky that you always carry?
I don't know about quirky, but I've always got a pack of Uno cards, and I always have some cones, like soccer cones that you
Okay.
like lay
Yep.
out, because I don't know who else does this. We haven't really talked about it in the OT space, but we do a lot of mobility scooter trials. And
Yes.
when you're doing the trial, you've got to test like all different skills, just like a driving
Yep.
test, and the cones are a lifesaver. Otherwise, you'll tell them to do a figure eight and you'll demonstrate a nice, tight, controlled figure eight, and they'll just go around the whole cul-de-sac. So having the cones makes it really easy so they don't lose their
Okay.
car
Great.
or get hurt.
Great. Cones and Uno.
Everyone loves Uno. Kids, I've
They
been bitten
do.
by 5-year-olds, by 9-year-olds. They play strange rules nowadays. Actually, really, I
Yes.
haven't won in a long while. They always lose.
Great. So you've got your two sort of main OT tools. I loved how simple the cones to have on standby for particularly power or manual wheelchair trials, and
Mm.
having a little bit more of a guided figure eight, and perhaps other obstacles that you can run them through.
Feels more thorough when you do it with the cones.
And it makes it look a bit more professional, right? I know for me, I had cones, but if it was something quick and easy, I'd put the pencil on the ground. But be professional with like a stand timed up and go test. You have the cone and they go around that, whereas the
Mm.
pencil, yeah, it just gives that a little bit more quality feel.
Yeah, a little more like you planned it out.
Yep, that's it. Fantastic. Okay, well, what I want to do is jump to the quick fire round, Bree, and I'm just going to ask you a bunch of questions that are all specific to being behind the wheel as a community OT here at Gen Physio. So, first up, go to lunch on the road. You mentioned you like packing your lunch. What kind of lunches are you packing? Last night's dinner? Are you prepping for the week kind of person?
I'm
Where do
really
we,
boring.
what's
Really,
that?
really boring. I
Not
go
2 minute
cold.
noodles,
No,
I
I
guess.
can't cook
Well,
that.
no microwave, right?
No, I bulk buy the Quest protein chips, like the Doritos they have, which are
Yeah,
really yummy, and I
yeah.
get like a big roll of chicken loaf, like deli meat, and I just eat that. I'm really, really bad. I just have the worst lunch.
Wow.
Deli meat and
Okay.
chips.
Meat and chips. Well, look, it sounds yummy. I don't know about every day, but
Only in
uh,
2 or 3 days a week.
okay, 2, 3 days. Okay. All right. And coffee order. What would be your go-to?
I do
Yeah.
like an almond latte with a little bit of sweetener.
What's your sweetener? A little bit of caramel syrup, or what do you?
I do like caramel, but I do
Yeah.
like the artificial sweetener because I try not to have too much sugar.
Smart. Yeah. Sugar's the devil.
But
Same.
I drink a lot of Pepsi Max as well, more than coffee really.
Oh, wow. Okay. Pepsi Max. I do the long
Yeah.
blacks. They're low calorie, hit you hard, does the job, and you can't go back. Okay, fine. And we talked about, well, apart from the Spotify playlist and music, what about podcasts? Have you got any podcasts that you tend to listen to in the car in between clients?
Not so much podcasts. I do enjoy a good singing session in the car, so I like the music.
Okay.
But
Or
um,
karaoke.
yeah, no one's in the car with me, so it's all right.
Sure. Yeah.
But when I do listen to podcasts, it'd be during the football season because I'm a big American football fan, and they have a couple of podcasts on my team, so that's coming up soon. I'll start listening to them in the car.
Okay, nice. All right. And is there a phrase that you say most often in the car? What would that be?
Nothing I'm allowed to say on this podcast, I think.
Okay, so
It's usually you're a
many
great
profanities.
driver. Oh, what a good driver. Where's your indicator? I actually
Yeah.
was on the way here. I had two boys on a moped brake check me to a stop, just hooning around, and I went to honk them, and my honk didn't work, my horn, so I had to wind the window down. Get off the road. So that maybe
Wow.
that's what I said today.
Oh wow. So the okay, well that's
I
not,
know.
you don't have a company car, so
No,
just out there,
it's getting
our
fixed.
cars work well, just for those listeners. So okay, you're gonna have to get one of those air horns then. It sounds
Oh, hopefully it'll be fixed today.
funny story on when it talks to cars and scooters and bikes, but I was driving up in Brisbane in between a couple of meetings with our referrers. and it might have been New Farm. It's a bit of a pompous sort of area, upmarket joint of Brisbane. Don't know too much because I'm from the Goldie, but there was it would have been 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and there was a cyclist, and he wasn't in the center of the road, but he was pretty tight, like coming into my space. So I didn't slow down. I just thought, hey, that's all right. Literally just drove around him
Mm.
and didn't really slow down because, well, I just drove around him on the other side. There were no other cars. Anyway, a few days after that, office manager at the time and said, "Oh, Jordan, there's a Constable Williams asking for you, uh, you know, because of a cyclist." And I'm thinking, what's going on? Apparently he said, "Look, I'm just as a warning, and I had a company car
Oh,
at the time, and I had they got the rego on me, but yeah, it was yeah, I thought I wasn't even near him, and I did see some sort of hand signal as I went, and I'm just going, "What is he on about?" I just didn't pay any attention to it. But apparently, I was getting too close for his comfort or something like that,
mm.
and he called the police. So, funny how some people operate. But yeah,
That's the thing, being a mobile business. We drive a lot. So there's always going to be stories. Always
that's
going to be
right.
things happening.
A risk of hire, aren't they? Just pure time on the road. And a dream road trip destination, where would that be for you?
I think at the moment I want to go to Esperance down in like Western Australia along the
Oh,
bottom.
another. Okay, WA.
It looks really nice. Apparently there's sharks, but it's one of the most beautiful beaches. White sand, clear water, all that stuff. So I
And
think that's on the bucket list.
WA? Where did
Yeah.
you come across that?
Oh, it's all over social media at times, Jordan. There's
Sure,
all
yeah, I'm
sorts
not
of
on the
things.
TikToks enough. I've got to
We'll
get,
get you on there.
well, I am, but it's mainly businessy stuff that seems to follow me. I need to like a few more travel posts.
I go to the beach once and it just randomly pops up on my feed.
Oh, that's it. It knows everything about you. Okay, great. And for a closing question, what's one tip you would give somebody who's starting out the community, either experienced or as a new graduate? What is something that you would give them as a tip or a takeaway starting out in the world of community?
Probably to make sure that they take initiative. I think a lot of us
Mm.
come out of uni and we're used to having someone there helping us or available and
Mm.
maybe checking in frequently. But when you come into the community or any field, I think you really have got to be prepared to just take the bull by the horns and make sure that you are showing that you're asking for help when you need it. And also, I think we talked about it a bit earlier, but the suppliers are our best friends. It doesn't matter if we stay in this job
Yeah.
forever or change, they're going to still be there for us and be our friends. So just get out there and get to know your local suppliers and make a friendship with them.
Yeah,
That's
of
the number two
course.
tip.
Building relationships in the community, never burn your bridges, keep your long-standing relationship, and ultimately that's going to support you in your career moving forward.
Absolutely.
Great tips. Well, Bree, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast today. It was great to get you to know behind the wheel as one of our OTs up at the Sunshine Coast. Hopefully, not too many cyclists calling the cops on you like me,
Not
but
yet.
not yet. And you do a bit of driving into Moreton Bay and helping our wonderful clients
Mm,
in tough to sort of service regions too. So I'm glad it's all running well for you.
it might happen down here. I don't know about up on the Sunshine Coast, but Moreton
Hopefully
Bay.
not, right? But you never know. We'll see. Look, thank you so much for your time. It was great to get to know you that little bit more, Bree, and have a
Thank you for
great
having
chat
me.
about, yeah, all wonderful things, personal, professional, and OT. All the best, and bye for now, everybody.
Thank you.